But let's get more reaction from both sides of the aisle when it comes to all things transition. Let's bring in our panel. Garland Nixon is a radio show host and CEO of NewAmericaTimes.com, and Sean Noble is a Republican strategist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. I want to continue the conversation. If I can start with you, Sean. We heard from Daniel. Listen, if there is anything unsavory, by all means, we're not assuming that is the case, but it has been cleared out of the way. Is this something that we can just forget about and move on, focus on names like Sean Spicer and other cabinet members who are getting named?
Well, I mean, this is the way the process works. I mean, you have a situation that has potential to do some damage to the administration, and you take care of it. And this may not be the last time this happens. I mean, there are.
That's what I was going to ask you. How unusual is this? How unusual is this? I mean, it's been quite a while since we've been talking about a cabinet transition. So maybe we all have short memories.
Well, I mean, it's not unusual at all. I mean, I think every time there's a transition and new people are coming into an administration, there's going to be a few hiccups. And this is a pretty minor hiccup. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, the White House is going to run very efficiently. Jason's a great guy, and he's going to probably do something different.
All right, Garland, what's your response? Minor hiccup or something more perhaps unsavory?
Yeah, no, I agree. I do think it's a minor hiccup. I think there are a lot of policy issues that are going to come to the forefront, and I do think that there will be a lot of discussion regarding the various members of the cabinet whose business interests are directly tied to the industries that they'll be regulating. So I think that this is a small hiccup, but once we start getting to the cabinet members and we start getting to the nominees being vetted through the Senate, that's when we'll get the big, that's when we'll start seeing the big stories.
All right, Garland, I want to stick with you, and then obviously I'll get Sean's response, but I want to look forward to talk about another topic that we've been learning about over the past 24 hours, that Donald Trump will be dissolving the Trump Foundation, of course, the charitable arm of his work. I want to ask you, presumably you felt that there probably were conflicts of interest here. Is that argument that I assume you had before, correct me if I'm wrong, is that argument now dead because it's no longer a part of his business dealings?
Well, to some extent, yes, because once our president-elect takes office, if this doesn't exist anymore, there won't be anything that can be tied directly to decision-making, the decision-making process or decisions that he's making as president. Certainly, there are some investigations going on, and there's some things being looked into. But the other part of it is he's going to be in charge of the IRS and all the organizations that would affect those decisions on a national basis anyway. So right. I don't really think that they're going to go far after.
Okay, Sean, I want to read a statement from the DNC spokesperson, and it reads in part: Trump's announcement today is a wilted fig leaf to cover up his remaining conflicts of interest and his pitiful record of charitable giving. Do you think that we're still going to see some Democrats argue that there are some really sketchy details that happened with this charitable arm that is now being buried?
Well, I think that you saw the quote. There was a quote in the New York Times by the press secretary for the AG in New York saying, although they can't shut this down because we have them under investigation, this isn't over. I mean, this is much ado about nothing. What's amazing to me is the level of hypocrisy from the DNC. I mean, can you imagine? Look at what Clinton did when she was the Secretary of State with her foundation. I mean, if she had been elected, would they be shutting down the Clinton Foundation? I don't think so.
She was keep in mind, she was a politician at the time, and Donald Trump was this is a personal business that we're talking about here. This is apples to oranges.
Right. Exactly, and so the fact that this would have any impact is, I think, a joke. This is much ado about nothing. He's shutting it down because he's got to focus on being the president, and this is actually a foundation that he runs with his kids. It's not a huge staff. There is no staff. It doesn't cost any money. So this is just a process of saying, I'm not going to be involved in charitable giving while I'm the president of the United States, so I'm going to shut this down.
All right, well, Garland, does this hurt the Democratic brand? Because if they continue to harp on this, for example, not only did we see that particular statement, but Eric Walker had a number of tweets. I think it was as early, I think it was yesterday that he continued to talk about this. Are we hurting is the Democratic Party hurting itself by just harping on something? And if they look in the mirror and say, well, maybe we had some unsavory activity as well.
No, I don't think the Democratic Party is hurting themselves. We're kind of an environment where, during the last administration, there was, people arguing over the cost of the gas for Air Force One. So unfortunately, we're in a little bit of a kind of a Jerry Springer-esque kind of environment in politics. But as I said, I think very shortly we're going to move away from that stuff, and we're going to get into some concrete issues. And as far as a Democrat, I think we have some strong policy issues that we can that we can take advantage of.
All right, that's a whole other panel. We can have you guys back to talk about it. Garland and Sean, thank you so much. I know it's Christmas. I appreciate your time away from your families.
Thank you.
for
Merry
joining
Christmas.
us.
Thank you.